Hello and welcome everyone to this very important video. And as you probably know and follow on X, there's a very important debate right now if Tesla and X.AI, Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company, should merge into a singular company. Now, X.AI just launched Grok 4. And Grok 4, as I covered in two previous videos, and there will be more videos covering this crazy race towards the singularity, has leapfrogged the entire space of AI frontier models and is now leading in humanity's last exam, the most important benchmark in the world on AGI, in my opinion, and has leapfrogged all the other guys, including OpenAI, it seems. Now let's wait what's going to happen, but whatever happens, it is proven at this point that X.AI is a serious player in that new world of frontier models that will define humanity's future and very short-term future. Now, there's a lot of debate if Tesla and X.AI should merge because both are dominated and led by Elon Musk. And it seems to make a lot of sense because Tesla is the preeminent AI company in the world now in terms of embodied AI, right? Humanoid robots where Tesla has a clear lead globally, and robotaxis, autonomous vehicles where AI is very important. So I want to break down this discussion and give you my take on it because there's too much qualitative discussions here if it makes sense or not, and too little looking into the quantitative realities of this merger, of the valuations involved, of the interests involved, and most importantly, of Elon Musk's specific motivations. So let's take a look into it. Most importantly, there was a comment here, there will be no merger between Tesla and X.AI on X, where Elon said no. So specifically, Bull Street Bets was asking Tesla investors, do you support a merger between X.AI and Tesla? And that was very recently. That was yesterday on July the 13th. And look who responded no, Elon Musk. So that is very interesting. Then Dalton commented, investment yes, merger no. Now, as Tesla shareholders, you probably ask yourself, why would they not merge? What is the problem here? And the fact that Elon says no does not mean it wouldn't make sense to merge them for Tesla. It means that Elon Musk is opposed to it. Now, I wrote a quick post to explain what is behind that. So let's look at my post. I will go through it and explain my point here. When you discuss things like that, you have to understand that things are not happening randomly. These are not happening in the interest of Tesla or in your interest or my interest or in the interest of X.AI. They happen in the interest of the people who have the power. And the person who has the most power over that question is Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is not Tesla, and Tesla is not Elon Musk. Elon is Elon, and Tesla is Tesla. There are overlaps, but they're not identical. So let's take a look into Elon's incentives here, motivations, and what he will think about the whole thing, which we can derive pretty clearly once we understand the numbers and the trajectories. Hey, creating these videos is a lot of work. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Now let's get back to the video. So my comment was, Elon owns about 55% of X.AI, right? Between 59% before certain things were happening. Now it's estimated to be 55%, which is a lot. He owns 12.9% of Tesla without his compensation package. It's very likely that something is going to happen on the compensation side. Has to happen. It would be incredibly unfair and crazy if it wouldn't happen, and very bad for Tesla. So let's just, for good measure, let's assume Elon effectively owns 20% of Tesla sooner or later, more sooner than later. If not, it would be a disaster for Tesla. So let's hope he gets there. X.AI's last valuation was 80 billion, with the next one estimated to be 200 billion, which is pretty massive. So that means Elon just made another easy, $60 billion on this just by the increase, and will, have made $100 billion $100 billion in the last 2 years since the founding of X.AI, which tells you that Elon is on path to becoming the first trillionaire probably next year or the year after. Tesla's valuation is roughly 1 trillion. So let's just dial the tape of history a little forward and assume it's 200 billion, which is in line, right? ChatGPT and OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is recently valued at, I think, 300 billion. So I think it's very reasonable to assume that X.AI, now the leading frontier model, will be valued at something like 200 billion. So the first question, if you're Elon, you own 55% of a company that's worth 200 billion, and you own 13%, or let's say 20% of a company that's worth 1 trillion, would it be smart to merge these two for you? Well, the first question we have to answer to understand that is Tesla more likely to grow faster or X.AI over the next 3 to 5 years, right? So let's assume you want to achieve a 10x. Tesla has to grow from 1 trillion to 10 trillion market cap, from 300 roughly share price, or 319 share price, to 3,190. To keep up with Tesla, X.AI would have to grow to 2 trillion from 200 billion. Now, which of these two companies is most likely to get there first? That's a very important question, right? You understand why? Because if X.AI gets consumed by Tesla but then grows faster than Tesla, it was a bad deal for Elon. If X.AI grows faster, Elon should stick to his shares as long as possible, because his share of this faster growing company is much bigger. I give you an example why this is so important. X.AI 10x's and Tesla 5x's. So the balance of power will then shift in Elon's direction if he doesn't merge the companies. Because if X.AI goes to 2 trillion, Elon will have added 1 trillion to his own net worth. Whereas Tesla, goes only to, let's say, X, to 1,500 share price, or 5 trillion, and Elon will have added only roughly 10% of that, or let's say 20%. So if Tesla 5x's, Elon adds 1 trillion to his own net worth. But if X.AI x's, he also adds 1 trillion. So if he would have merged before, it would have been much worse for Elon. So we have to understand this rationale. This is how Elon has to think about these things on the equity side. Now, here comes the first reveal. I really thought about this very hard. I think that these two companies are actually pretty much on par. They are both equally likely to grow 10x in the same time frame, right? Is Tesla going to go 10x to 3,100 in the next 3 years? Yes, extremely likely. With X.AI, is X.AI going to go to 2 trillion? Also extremely likely when you think about the insane momentum behind AI. But I don't think anyone has a leg up. So I would say here it comes out pretty equal. And so the next question is, if they perform at the same rate, in theory, you could say, why not merge them, right? It's fine, merge them. It doesn't matter. You come out the same. But don't forget, this is all probabilistic, what I'm saying. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. For Elon, it's much smarter to keep it risk mitigated, because it's not clear what's going to happen. If Tesla would grow faster, it would be smart to merge. If X.AI grows faster, it's smart to not merge. But if you don't know exactly, it's smarter to not merge, because Elon is hedging his bets. He controls X.AI. A merger would mean he loses control, because he doesn't have control over Tesla. He needs way more voting power. So for him, it doesn't make much sense to merge right now. It's better to keep it separate, make them grow both very fast. I think it's better to control one company when you cannot control the other than merging them both and not control the merger. So the best path for Elon is to have Tesla to be the main investor in the coming rounds. That is the right game here. Because if you would merge it, very bad. You have to then raise more money, potentially, for X.AI. Let's assume you don't raise more money, but you feed it from the Tesla cash flow, fine. But if you raise more money into X.AI and Tesla is the investor, Elon gets diluted less. Because now, if you get any kind of investment, let's say 2 billion, 5 billion investment, let's say 2 billion investment into X.AI, and this comes from Tesla, the dilution is only 80% of the original dilution, because Elon owns 20% of Tesla. Second, why is it important that these companies do more with each other? Because Tesla, of course, can benefit from X.AI, and X.AI can benefit from Tesla, because X.AI is the brain, and now potentially the best brain in the world for robotaxi, but also more importantly for Optimus. At the same time, X.AI can benefit from the real-world data streams of Optimus and the robotaxis. And Elon has already talked about this. The bottleneck of AI, besides compute, but compute becomes less of a bottleneck now, it seems. Algorithms, compute, and data. These are the 3 dimensions of AI progress. Data is extremely bottlenecked right now, because all the world's data, all the world's information, the internet and all these things have been eaten up and digested by AI frontier models. So where do you get more data for more training? And the answer is, you get more data from the real world by having all these video feeds, by having all the video feeds from Optimus now, you would have an insanely huge new data stream that Tesla controls. Some people say Tesla is basically the census of the centralized super AI. This is the Tesla hardware infrastructure. But X.AI is the brain plus the census, super intelligence. So you want to get them together, if not through a merger, then through an investment and an agreement between the two. So at the same time, he can benefit from his higher share in X.AI should the company value grow faster than Tesla, of course, right? So if X.AI actually grows faster, then it was a super good deal for Elon because he incrementally gets a bigger share of both. Number 4, in addition, Tesla carries non-trivial control risk for Elon. I already elaborated on that. It's not clear that he can achieve the 25% voting control yet. I think he will, but it's not guaranteed. And even if he does, he doesn't have 50%. He still relies on 25% of other shareholders voting with him on whatever is important. While X.AI has more or less, is more or less under total Elon control. So in short, there is no advantage for Elon to merge these two companies, but there's a huge advantage for Elon to have Tesla invest in X.AI. And that advantage is clearly also Tesla's advantage. Now, all of this would change under two conditions. If Tesla starts to look like it would grow faster than X.AI, then it's fine. You can merge it into. Or if Elon gets a much higher stake in Tesla with reduced control risk, then at least the control argument goes away. So big picture, you can think about it like this. X.AI is still much smaller than Tesla, 20% of Tesla if it gets to 200 billion. So it can inherently has a little bit easier time to grow faster. Elon owns much more of X.AI than of Tesla. So the combination of it may be growing faster, but him having a much higher stake means don't merge them. At the same time, we need to get them closer together so Tesla can benefit from the super brain and X.AI can benefit from the Tesla data without it becoming very awkward and fiduciary duty violating, because you can't just do these things without any kind of commercial interest. So I think the next step here is clearly don't push Elon for a merger, not going to happen, but enable Tesla to invest in X.AI at a reasonable valuation, probably the $200 billion round. Is probably would be nicer if Tesla gets a bigger share for us as shareholders. But here, our interests as shareholders do not align with Elon's interests. So we have to see how it all pans out. If Tesla invests in X.AI, it's important that this investment valuation that Tesla achieves is fair to Tesla shareholders. So I think 200 billion is definitely on the upper end of what's fair. So let's see what happens. And let's be very clear that our interest is not necessarily technically aligned with Elon's. Elon has his own thing. As Tesla shareholders, we want the best for Tesla. We want the best deal between Tesla and X.AI. And Elon is a little bit on the other side of that deal, when you think about it. Because the better the deal is for Tesla, the worse it is for existing shareholders of X.AI. And Elon is more an existing shareholder of X.AI than of Tesla. So there is slightly conflicting interests here in valuation. So this needs to be decided objectively. But at the same time, we need Elon's approval. He needs to be on board. That's the situation. So let's hope we get it done and get a deal soon, that it will be fair. The most important thing here is not so much that it's just financially fair, but that also Tesla can benefit from the huge power of X.AI and that X.AI is not allowed to collude or collaborate with other companies. But it's a little bit of conflict we are setting up here. As long as Elon is not totally and fully invested in Tesla, which he is currently not because of the lack of compensation package and the lack of control. So I'm always for give Elon maximum control over Tesla and compensate him fairly. Everything else would be incredibly stupid, and X.AI is just another example. So I hope that was interesting. That's how I view the whole thing. You always have to look at the number and the interests. Hope that was helpful, and see you very soon.